He slammed me against the cold metal of the locker room door, the scent of sweat and something uniquely his euros that sharp citrus shampoo euros overwhelming my senses. His breath was hot against my cheek, his body a wall of furious energy caging me in. "Who the hell is he to you?" he demanded, his voice a low growl that vibrated through my chest. His grip on my wrist was bruising, his eyes burning with a possessiveness he had no right to claim. "He's a friend," I managed to say, my voice steadier than I felt. "Now let go of me." He only pressed closer, his glare intensifying. "Friends don't look at you like that. And you are euros, you just let him." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "Oh, I see. So only you're allowed to be all over me? Is that it? Let me remind you, Mark, you're the one wore euros trade s straight. You made that perfectly, painfully clear. So why in the world does this bother you so much?" It started, as it always did, with me waking up in a cage of his making. An arm, heavy and warm as a furnace, was slung possessively across my waist, and the solid heat of his body was pressed so tightly against my back it felt like he was trying to merge our very skin. Mark was sprawled over me, a human-sized furnace of a blanket, mumbling something incoherent and sleepy into the back of my neck. I let out a long, weary sigh. This was our normal. I shoved his arm away and, for good measure, landed a solid kick to his shin. He grunted in his sleep, his eyes still sealed shut, but instead of moving away, he instinctively yanked me back towards him, burying his face in the crook of my neck, his nose nuzzling against my chest. "Babe," he slurred, the word a familiar, treacherous caress against my skin. "Just 5 more minutes." His breath ghosted over my collarbone, sending an unwelcome shiver cascading down my spine, a traitorous response my body refused to unlearn. With a frustrated growl, I grabbed a fistful of his perpetually messy brown hair and gave it a firm tug. "Mark, get up. Now." He finally cracked one eye open, a lazy, contented smile playing on his lips as he rubbed the sleep from his face. "Morning. Are you hungry? I can make a run for breakfast." I just nodded, less out of hunger and more out of a desperate need to reclaim my personal space, to have a moment where I wasn't breathing in his scent. He fumbled for a t-shirt, pulling it on inside out without a care in the world, and stumbled out of our dorm room. A moment later, I heard the familiar voice of our roommate, Grant, drifting from the hallway. "Yo, Mark, is your boy still sleeping?" Grant's tone was laced with its usual teasing amusement. Mark's response was a low hiss. "Shoo, I'm getting him food. Don't you dare wake him." Their voices faded as they moved down the hall, and I kicked off the suffocating covers, staring up at the cracked paint of the ceiling. It was always like this. We had the same anatomy, the same parts, yet Marker Euros trade as casual. Constant intimacy never seemed to faze him. It was just how things were. But for me, I wasn't so lucky. My feelings were anything but innocent, anything but casual. As I finally sat up, Grant wandered back in, already sprawled on his own bed, phone in hand, a wicked smirk on his face. "Joel, perfect timing, man." He tilted his screen towards me and my stomach clenched. "Your boy is in some deep trouble. Some dude just laid his heart out for him in the middle of the quad. It's already blowing up the campus group chat." I frowned, my fingers feeling cold as I grabbed my own phone. A blurry video was already making the rounds. It showed Mark, his hair tousled by the wind, looking utterly incensed. I didn't need to be there to know exactly how this was going to play out, but my feet, against my better judgment, were already moving. carrying me towards the inevitable train wreck. By the time I reached the quad, the crowd of curious onlookers was already beginning to thin. Mark stood in the center of the lawn, his brows knitted together in a dark scowl, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. Standing before him was a guy with sharp, expertly applied eyeliner and glossy lips, his voice trembling with a mixture of hope and hurt. "Buter Euros, but you and Joel are so close," the guy stammered. "I thought maybe Euros." Mark cut him off, his voice low but sharp enough to slice through the afternoon air. "Joel's different. We're just bros, all right. I'm straight. He's straight. It is not like that." Each word was a precise, calculated blow. The word straight echoed in the open space, hitting me with the force of a physical jab to the gut. The guy's face crumpled, a mask of public humiliation settling over his features. He mumbled a hasty apology before practically bolting, disappearing into the student union. Mark scanned the remaining crowd, his scowl a silent dare for anyone else to linger. I turned to leave, wanting nothing more than to escape, but his voice, sharp and familiar, caught me. "Joel," he jogged over, holding up a small paper bag. "Got your bagel. Cream cheese, just how you like it." "What are you doing here?" he asked, his anger from moments before vanishing as if it had never existed. "Saw the circus," I replied flatly. He offered a half-hearted grin, his eyes searching mine for a reaction I refused to give. "Huh?" I ignored the bag he was holding out, taking a deliberate step back. "That gooer Euros, the one you just shut down. Was he really that gross to you?" Mark blinked, caught completely off guard by my question. Yeah, kind of. All that makeup and stuff for Euros, eater Euros trade-s just not my vibe, you know." His casual dismissal, his easy judgment, it was like a lit match to my frayed nerves. "But I'm a guy too, Mark," I said, my voice devoid of all emotion. "Us being like Thesu Euros cuddling. You calling me Babber Euros, it's not right." He frowned, confusion clouding his features as he stepped closer, invading my space again. "But you're not like him. You don't wear all that crap, or a Euros, or act so clingy." He paused, and then delivered the final, devastating blow. "Besides, you're just you. And you don't like me like that, so it's fine." The words sunk into me, heavy and cold as lead. That was it. That was the invisible shield, the get-out-of-jail-free card for all his behavior. I was safe. I was permissible because, in his mind, I didn't want him. At least that's what he believed. A tight band constricted around my chest, but I forced my face to remain a neutral mask. "So that's the difference," I said, the realization tasting like ash in my mouth. "I don't chase you." Mark tilted his head, genuinely perplexed. "Yeah, pretty much. You're my best friend, Joel." "It's completely different." I forced a stiff nod, dodging his reflexive attempt to sling an arm around my shoulders. "Mark, we need boundaries." His face fell instantly, the easy smile vanishing, but he tried to laugh it off. "What? Did I say something wrong? You look like you're about to pass out." He reached for me, concern warring with his confusion. "Low blood sugar," I lied, sidestepping his outstretched hand. The warmth in his eyes, the genuine care, made my throat tighten with unspoken truths. "No, I just do Euros. I think we're too close. Eater Euros trade-s not good." He froze, his hand hovering in the empty air between us. "What is that supposed to mean?" he asked, his voice small. "It means," I said, turning and heading back towards the dorm, "we should start acting like normal friends." I didn't look back, but I could feel his gaze burning into my back, a silent, questioning weight. Back in the room, Grant was still glued to his phone, a bag of chips balanced on his stomach. "So, drummer in the quad, huh? Did you manage to save your Prince Charming?" he asked, his smirk infuriating. "Shut up," I muttered, collapsing onto my bed and burying my face in my pillow. My phone buzzed. Mark's name illuminated the screen. I ignored it, staring at the blank wall, my resolve hardening. If I was just a friend, then I would finally start acting like one. No more late-night cuddles that felt like a sweet form of torture. No more letting him call me babe in that sleep-rough voice. No more allowing my heart to twist itself into knots every single time he got too close. But even as I made the decision, a part of me knew Mark wouldn't make it easy. He never did. The guy was a walking, breathing contradiction. Straight as an arrow, he claimed, yet he was glued to my side like I was his personal lifeline. And I was the World Euros trade's biggest idiot for letting it go on this long. Grant's voice broke through my spiral of thoughts. "You good, man? You look like you just got dumped." I shot him a glare that could curdle milk. "I'm fine." "Sure you are," he said, that knowing smirk returning. "But hey, if you're finally done with Mark, can I have a shot? The guy's got abs for days." I hurled a pillow at his head and he cackled, ducking with practiced ease. "Kidding. Mostly. But seriously, what's the deal? You two are basically a married couple, minus the rings." "He's straight," I said, the word feeling bitter and foreign on my tongue. "And I'm done playing house." Grant raised an eyebrow, a flicker of genuine concern in his eyes, but he didn't push it. I grabbed my phone, scrolling aimlessly to distract myself, but Mark's unanswered texts stared back at me like accusations. 5 messages, all variations of "you okay? And want me to grab coffee for you, too?" I locked the screen, tossing the phone aside with more force than necessary. If I was going to survive this, if I was going to protect what was left of my heart, I needed to stick to my guns. No more blurred lines. No more pathetic, secret hope for something Mark had just explicitly stated he could never give. He'd made it crystal clear where he stood, and I refused to be that copyright, the guy pining pathetically after his straight best friend. Still, as I lay there, the ghost of his arm wrapped around my waist lingered. A phantom weight that was both a comfort and a curse, and I hated, absolutely hated, how much I missed it already. I spent the entire next morning dodging Mark's texts, letting my phone buzz itself into oblivion on my desk. Our different majors meant avoiding him between classes was relatively easy. I buried myself in lecture notes, pretending the 15 and counting messages from him weren't burning a hole in my pocket. By evening, I dragged myself back to the dorm, physically and emotionally exhausted, but resolute. No more being Marker Eurostrade's clingy, emotionally available sidekick. I stepped into the communal bathroom, a towel slung over my shoulder, and froze in the doorway. Mark was kneeling by a small plastic basin, diligently scrubbing my favorite pair of jeans like his life depended on it. He'd been washing my clothes by hand since freshman year, insisting with a ridiculous amount of seriousness that my hands were too delicate for the cold water. I'd let it slide back then, charmed by his over-the-top, chivalrous nonsense. Now, it just felt like another bar in the cage of our undefined relationship. "Mark, stop," I said, my voice coming out sharper than I intended. "I can do it myself." He looked up, soap suds dripping from his fingers, his expression one of pure innocence. "It's just one pair of jeans, Joel. It takes me like 2 minutes." "It's not about the time," I said, reaching for the basin. "It's about boundaries." His hands tightened on the denim, his knuckles turning white. He wasn't budging. Boundaries? Since when do we need those? He asked, his voice laced with confusion. Since now, I retorted, tugging harder. He held firm, getting to his feet to tower over me. His t-shirt was damp from the scrubbing, clinging to the defined muscles of his chest, and I hated the way my eyes flicked there for a split second before meeting his challenging gaze. "What's gotten into you?" he'd asked, taking a step closer. "You've been weird all day." I backed up, my shoulder blades hitting the cool wood of the bathroom door. "We talked about this. Normal friends don't do each other's laundry." I gestured wildly at the basin, at him, at the rapidly shrinking space between us. Mark's brows furrowed in frustration, but he didn't move away. Instead, he reached past me, and I heard the decisive click of the door lock. My pulse hammered against my ribs. "Joel," he said, his voice dropping to a low, serious tone. "If I screwed up, just tell me. I'll fix it." I swallowed hard, trapped by his earnest, unwavering stare. "You didn't screw up. It's me." Thesaurus, I waved a hand between our bodies. A circumflex euros, it's too much. We're not dating. We're not even a euros, you know. His face softened, the anger replaced by a gentle concern that was somehow worse. He leaned in, so close I could smell that stupidly endearing citrus shampoo he always used. "You're my best friend. I don't get why that's suddenly a problem." I placed my hands on his chest and pushed, creating a sliver of distance. "Because it's confusing. For everyone else, and for me." He just blinked, looking at me like our Eurostrade D started speaking in another language. Before he could formulate another misguided rebuttal, I ducked under his arm, snatched my jeans from his grasp, and bolted from the bathroom. My heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs, but I kept my expression carefully neutral as I tossed the wet clothes into my hamper. Back in our room, Grant was still in his default position, sprawled on his bed, munching on chips. "Trouble in paradise?" he asked, that ever-present smirk playing on his lips. "Shut it," I snapped, flopping into my desk chair. My phone lit up again. It was Mark, asking if I wanted him to order pizza. I turned it face down on the desk with a sigh. Night fell, and with it came the real test. Mark owned a fancy off-campus apartment his parents paid for, but for months he'd been crashing in my dorm bed, claiming his own place was too quiet and lonely. I had, to my own detriment, gotten used to his warmth beside me, the soft, rhythmic sound of his snores a strange sort of lullaby. Not tonight. When he strolled in later, a duffel bag slung casually over his shoulder, I was ready. He dropped his bag and made a beeline for my bed, kicking off his sneakers. "Scoot over, babe." I planted my foot firmly on his stomach, stopping him cold. "What are you doing?" He grinned, completely unfazed. "Sleeping, like always." "You have a bed," I said, pointing a rigid finger to his empty bunk across the small room. "Use it." Mark glanced at it as if seeing it for the first time, then back at me, a flicker of genuine confusion in his eyes. "But we always are euros, not anymore." I cut him off, pressing my foot a little harder, trying to ignore the way the solid wall of his abs tensed beneath my soul. "Go." He pouted, a childish expression that usually worked on me, and grabbed my ankle. "Come on, Joel. My place is locked up for the night, and the campus gates are closed." I snorted. "You climb fences for fun, Mark. Don't play the helpless victim with me." From his bed, Grant cackled loudly. "You two bickering like an old married couple is my new favorite show. Seriously, better than Netflix." Mark shot him a withering glare. Not helping, Grant. Then go sleep with him, I said, jerking my head in Grant's direction. He's got plenty of room. Grant clutched his pillow to his chest in mock horror. No way, man. I am not cuddling with Mr. Abs over here. You two sought out your lovers spat on your own time. Mark's jaw tightened at the comment, but notably he didn't correct Grant. Instead, he pushed against my foot, using his superior strength to climb onto my bed with infuriating ease. Joel, talk to me. Why are you so mad? I yanked my leg back, sitting up straight. I'm not mad. I am setting rules. You're straight. I'm a guy. This, I gestured between us on the bed, looks wrong. People talk. His eyes narrowed. Since when do you give a damn what other people think? Since it started making me feel like an idiot. I shot back, the words sharper than I intended. You can't keep acting like we're something we're not. Mark's face fell, the playful confidence draining away, but he still didn't move from my bed. He leaned closer, his knee brushing against mine, sending a jolt through my system. You're acting like I did something awful. Did someone say something to you? Was it that guy from the quad? I let out a short, bitter laugh. No, Mark, it's you. You call me babe. You sleep in my bed. You wash my damn clothes. But you're straight. You said it yourself, loud and clear for the whole campus to hear. He flinched, running a hand through his already messy hair. I didn't mean it like that. You're different. Different how? I challenged, my voice surprisingly steady despite the chaotic knot tightening in my chest. Because I don't wear eyeliner. Or is it just because I don't like you like that? His mouth opened, then closed. For the first time I could remember, he didn't have a quick, easy answer. I seized the moment, swinging my legs off the bed and standing up. Sleep in your own bed, Mark, or go back to your apartment. I'm done. He just stared at me, his eyes wide, looking as though I'd just slapped him across the face. Joel, come on euros no. I grabbed my pillow from the bed and tossed it onto the hard floor. I'm sleeping here tonight. You figure it out. Grant let out a low whistle. Damn, Joel. Ice cold. I ignored him, lying down on the unforgiving floor, turning my back to Mark. The room fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the creak of my bed as Mark shifted his weight. I waited for him to argue, to climb down, and try to physically drag me back up, but he didn't. For the first time in months, maybe even years, he stayed on his side of the room. I closed my eyes, trying to ignore the dull, persistent ache in my chest. This was what I wanted, wasn't it? Distance, clarity. So why did it feel like I had just willingly amputated a part of myself? I kept Mark at arm's length for days, dodging his texts and making excuses to skip our usual morning coffee runs. My phone buzzed relentlessly, a constant reminder of his confusion and persistence, but I left it on silent, forcing myself to focus on lecture slides instead. Keeping him out of my physical space was one thing. Keeping him out of my head was proving to be a much harder battle, but I stuck to my plan. No more blurred lines. By that afternoon, I was buried in a group project in a small study room when the class president, a girl named Sarah, poked her head in. Joel, got a second? We need to go over the plans for the student council meeting. I grabbed my notebook and nodded. On my way. As I stepped into the hall, Mark appeared out of nowhere, leaning against the doorframe with his arms crossed over his chest. What's this about? His tone was deceptively casual, but his eyes flickered to Sarah with an unmistakable hint of suspicion. I brushed past him without making eye contact. School stuff. Don't worry about it. He fell into step beside me, undeterred. I can help. What does she need you for? Sarah, sensing the tension, raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. It's a council thing, Mark. Joel's on the team. You're not. His face darkened for a split second, but he backed off, muttering, "Fine. Text me when you're done." I didn't. Instead, I headed to the library with Sarah to work on our project. We spread our notes across a large table, debating presentation slides and budget proposals. My phone vibrated again. A text from Mark asking if I wanted him to order sushi for dinner. I ignored it, scribbling down bullet points with more force than necessary. Half an hour later, a shadow fell over our table. Mark stood there, holding a single paper cup of coffee, his eyes locked on me like a guard dog on duty. "Thought you might need this," he said, sliding the cup towards me. "You didn't answer my texts." Sarah glanced between us, a small, unused smirk playing on her lips. "Am I interrupting something?" "Nope," I said quickly, taking the coffee but deliberately not drinking it. "We're working." Mark didn't take the hint. He plopped down into an empty chair beside me, his long legs sprawled out into the aisle. "I'll wait. Got to make sure you eat." I shot him a look that I hoped conveyed my deep annoyance. "I'm fine. Go do your thing." He didn't budge. His gaze darted to Sarah every time she leaned closer to point at something on a slide. His jaw tightened when our elbows accidentally brushed, and I could practically hear his teeth grinding. It was utterly ridiculous, as if he thought Sarah was about to whisk me away and I was incapable of fending for myself. I had to stifle a laugh, which only made him scowl harder. Finally, Sarah closed her laptop. "Joel, let's wrap this up. We can finish the rest online." I nodded, grateful for the escape, and started packing up my things. Mark stood up too, hovering over me like a thundercloud. "Where to now?" "Dinner. I'll treat." "I've got plans," I said, slinging my backpack over my shoulder. "Don't wait up." His eyes narrowed into slits. "Plans with who?" "None of your business," I said, and walked out, leaving him standing there amidst the library stacks, his fists clenched at his sides. I met Cale at a dive bar downtown, its neon sign buzzing faintly in the twilight. He was my best friend from high school, a chaotic whirlwind of curls and mischief, and he was already sipping a colorful cocktail when I slid into the booth across from him. "Joel, my man," he exclaimed, throwing an arm around my shoulders and nearly spilling his drink all over me. "I've missed you, you hermit." "It's been 2 weeks, Cale," I said, prying his arm off with a grin. "Chill." He leaned back, studying my face with an unnerving intensity. "You look like someone kicked your puppy." "Let me guess, it's Mark, isn't it?" I sighed, taking a long sip of the beer he'd already ordered for me. "He's driving me insane. 1 minute it's babe, this and cuddles, that, and the next he's shouting from the rooftops that he's straight. I'm so done getting my hopes up." Cale snorted into his drink. "Straight, my ass. The die is glued to you. Sounds like you have a boyfriend who just forgot to sign the contract." "That's exactly the problem," I muttered. "So I told him we need boundaries. And he's just a Euros not listening." Cale's eyes gleamed with a familiar, mischievous light. "What you need is a distraction. A real one." He pulled out his phone, flicking through his contacts with purpose. "I know a guy. Finn. He's on the freshman basketball team, part-time model on the side. A total flirt. He'll definitely shake things up." He sent me Finn's contact info with a wink emoji. "Trust me, Joel. Go have some fun." I hesitated, staring at the new name on my screen. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." Just text him, Kale urged, nudging my shoulder. What's the worst that could happen? As we clinked our glasses together, I felt a familiar prickling sensation on the back of my neck. I glanced over my shoulder and my stomach plummeted. Across the crowded bar, Mark stood in the doorway, his hands in his pockets, staring at our table with an expression that looked unnervingly like he'd just caught me cheating on him. How the hell did he find me? I hadn't told a soul where I was going. Kale followed my gaze and let out a low whistle. Well, speak of the devil. Is that your personal shadow? Dude's got it bad. Shut up, I hissed, but my pulse was already racing. Mark strode over to our table, his expression a thunderous mix of annoyance and something sharper, something that looked dangerously like jealousy. He stopped right beside our booth, completely ignoring Kale's presence. Joel, he said, his voice tight with restraint. You didn't say you were coming here. Didn't know I had to report my every move to you, I shot back, deliberately leaning back in my seat to appear relaxed. I'm with Kale, we're catching up. Mark's eyes finally flicked to Kale, sizing him up with a dismissive glance. Catching up, huh? Is that why you've been dodging my texts all day? Kale just grinned, completely unfazed by the hostility rolling off Mark in waves. Relax, big guy. I'm just his old high school pal. No need to mark your territory. Mark's jaw twitched. Whatever. Joel, do you want a ride back to the dorm? I'm good, I said, my voice cool and even. I'll find my own way. He stood there for a long, tense moment, his fists balled at his sides, then gave a stiff, jerky nod. Fine, text me when you get home. He turned and walked out, but not before shooting Kale a look that could have set the building on fire. The moment he was gone, Kale burst out laughing. Oh man, he is jealous as hell. Are you absolutely positive he's straight? I groaned, rubbing the burgeoning headache at my temples. He says he is. Repeatedly. Sounds like a classic case of denial to me, Kale said, sipping his drink with a smirk. Seriously, text Finn. Give Mark something real to sweat over. I stared down at my phone. Finn's number glowed on the screen, a beacon of possibility. Maybe Kale was right. If Mark wanted to play the role of the clingy but unavailable best friend, then I could play a game of my own. I typed out a quick message to Finn. Nothing serious, just a casual, hey, Kale gave me your number. My finger hovered over the send button for a heartbeat, then I pressed it. As the message sent, a strange mix of dread and exhilaration washed over me. Mark was not going to like this. And maybe, just maybe, that was the entire point. Finn's reply pinged on my phone just as I was heading towards the university basketball part. A winking emoji followed his message, promising a good time. A small smirk touched my lips as I pocketed the device. Mark's game was today, and I had promised I'd show up, but the impending presence of Finn Euros Kale's chaotic wild Carter Euros added a sharp new edge to the afternoon. I found an empty spot in the bleachers, my eyes scanning the court. Mark was in the middle of his warm-up drills, a picture of lean muscle and intense focus, until his eyes found mine in the stands. His easy grin faltered, then vanished completely when Finn jogged over to my seat, effortlessly tossing me a bottle of water. Hey Joel, Finn said, his voice as smooth as honey. You look hot sitting up here. Figured you might be thirsty. I caught the bottle, a genuine chuckle escaping me. Thanks. You've got some nice moves out there. Finn leaned closer, his arm brushing against mine in a way that felt anything but accidental. Just you wait. I'm saving the best for you. He shot me a devastating wink, calling me bro in a tone that was definitively not brotherly. Down on the cart, Mark's dribbling came to an abrupt halt. Even from this distance, I could see his jaw tighten, his gaze burning holes straight through Finn. The whistle blew for halftime, and Finn sauntered back to his team, leaving me with a strange flutter in my chest. I wasn't sure if it was from Finn's overt flirtation or the intensity of Mark's glare. As the halftime break ended, Mark stormed over to the bleachers, sweat glistening on his forehead and temples. "Who's that guy?" he demanded, his voice low and urgent, pointing a thumb in Finn's direction. "A friend," I said simply, taking a long sip of the water Finn had given me. "His name is Finn. Kale introduced us." Mark's eyes narrowed. "You two seem cozy." I just shrugged, deliberately keeping my tone light and breezy. "He's nice. What's it to you?" Before he could answer, Finn bounced back over, slinging a casual arm around my shoulders. "Joel, you liking the game? I'm killing it out there for you." His grin was all charm and charisma. His body pressed close enough to make my face heat up. Mark immediately stepped between us, his body a physical barrier, practically shoving Finn's arm off my shoulders. "We live together," he said, his voice clipped as if announcing a title of ownership. "Joel's my roommate." Finn just raised an eyebrow, completely unbothered. "Cool, man. Didn't know Joel came with a personal guard dog." He turned his attention back to me, his voice softening. "You didn't mention you had a roommate, bro." I leaned slightly towards Finn, pointedly dodging Mark's attempt to put his own arm around me. "Didn't think it mattered. Finn's my friend, Mark. Relax." Mark's face darkened further, but the coach's whistle cut off whatever angry retort was forming on his lips. He shot Finn one last look before jogging back onto the cart. I settled back into my seat, and Finn dropped down beside me, his knee brushing against mine. "Your boy is intense," he whispered, a smirk playing on his lips. "Is he always this clingy?" "Pretty much," I muttered, my eyes fixed on Mark. The second half of the game started, and Mark played like a man possessed. Every dunk, every steal, every aggressive block felt like it was aimed directly at me. His glances towards the stands were sharp and deliberate. When he slammed a perfect three-pointer, the crowd roared, but he looked straight at me, his expression a mixture of triumph and challenge, as if to say, "See that? That was for you." Finn whistled beside me. "Dude's definitely showing off for you, I bet." I rolled my eyes, but my stomach did a nervous flip. This level of raw, unconcealed aggression was new for Mark, and I couldn't decide if it thrilled me or terrified me. The game ended in a blowout victory for Mark's team. Players swarmed the court in celebration, but Mark cut through them like a knife, his eyes locked on mine, heading straight for me. He was still dripping with sweat, his chest heaving. "We need to talk," he said, his hand clamping around my wrist. His grip was tight, urgent. I tried to yank my arm back, but his hold was like iron. "Mark, chill out. What is your deal?" Finn stood up, his voice calm but pointed. "Hey man, maybe ease up a little." Mark's glare could have frozen lava. "Stay out of this," he snapped, before pulling me bodily towards the locker room. I stumbled after him, Finn's concerned expression fading behind the closing doors. The door slammed shut behind us, the lock clicking with a finality that made my pulse race. Mark spun me around, pinning me against the door, his breath hot, his body far too close. "Who the hell is Finn to you?" he demanded again, his voice rough with emotion. "A friend," I repeated, forcing myself to hold his intense gaze. "Why do you care so much?" Friends don't act like that, he growled, his grip on my wrist still unrelenting. He's all over you, Joel, and you're just letting him. I laughed, a sound that was sharp and bitter. What, like only you're allowed to do that? You're straight, Mark, you said it yourself. So why does this bother you? His eyes flickered, something raw and vulnerable flashing through them for a split second. I'm no 2 euros, I just don't like him. Why? I pushed. Because he's nice to me. Because he's not afraid to flirt. I leaned in closer, my voice dropping to a near whisper. Or is it because you think I'm one of those gross guys you have to shut down? Mark flinched as if I'd struck him, finally taking a step back. That's not what I meant. You're not like that. Then what am I like, Mark? I pressed, my heart pounding in my ears. Am I just your safe little bro who doesn't cross your precious straight guy lines? He ran a hand through his damp hair, pacing the small, confined space. You're twisting my words. I just don't trust that guy. I crossed my arms over my chest. Well, maybe I do. Maybe I'm going on a date with him. Mark froze mid-pace, his face a canvas of shock and something much darker. A date? Yeah, I said, doubling down on the lie. Finn's fun. I'm into him, and guess what? I'm not as straight as you seem to think I am. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The air in the room crackled with unspoken tension. His eyes searched mine, like he was trying to solve an impossible puzzle. Before he could speak, a sharp knock on the door broke the silence. Finn's voice, clear and concerned, came through the wood. Joel, you good in there? A bunch of us are grabbing food. Mark's fists clenched at his sides. He yanked off his sweaty jersey, tossing it aside and revealing a set of abs that made my brain stutter for a moment. I'm coming with you, he said, pulling on a clean shirt from his locker. No arguments. I smirked, my hand tapping the door handle. Actually, it's not really a group thing. Finn and I have plans. His eyes widened, then narrowed into dangerous slits. You're serious? Dead serious, I said, pulling the door open. Finn stood there, all easy smiles, completely oblivious to the emotional storm brewing just behind me. Just then, Clayton, the team captain, appeared, clapping a hand on Mark's shoulder. Yo, you two coming to the victory party at the keg? Joel, you're invited too, of course. I nodded, deliberately ignoring Mark's murderous glare. Sure, I'm in. Mark's jaw ticked, but he followed us out, muttering under his breath, this isn't over. I stepped out into the hall, Finn falling into step at my side, and Mark trailing behind us like a thundercloud about to burst. Game on. The victory party was a chaotic pulse of energy, the bass thumping through the floor of the dimly lit bar. I slid into a corner booth, a strategic move that left Mark on my left and Finn on my right, both of them radiating attention so thick you could cut it with a knife. They were like two rival wolves circling the same prize. Mark nursed a beer, his eyes darting to Finn every single time the freshman leaned closer to whisper a joke in my ear. Finn's arm would brush against mine, his laugh warm and infectious, and I played along, secretly enjoying the way Mark's grip would tighten on his beer bottle. Having fun, Joel? Finn asked, his knee nudging mine under the table. I grinned, tilting my head towards him. Yeah, you're not bad company. Mark coughed, a sound that was loud and deliberately pointed, setting his beer down on the table with a thud. You guys always this chatty. His tone was striving for casual, but his eyes were screaming murder. Finn just smirked, completely unfazed. Just catching up, right, Joel? Before I could answer, Clayton. The ever-boisterous team captain stood on a chair, waving a deck of cards. Game time. Truth or dare. Losers draw a card, do the dare, or drink up. I groaned internally, but the rest of the team cheered, and soon cards were flying across the table. Mark remained silent, his thigh pressed firmly against mine, a silent, possessive claim. Finn, meanwhile, leaned back in his seat, draping his arm casually over the back of my chair. I caught Mark's dark scowl and had to bite back a smile. This was almost too easy. Clayton tossed me a card. Joel, you're up. I flipped it over. Sit on someone's back for 10 push-ups. At the same moment, Finn snatched his card from the air, his grin widening. Well, look at that. Looks like I'm your partner. Mark's hand shot out, grabbing my wrist before I could even react. He's not doing it. I'll drink for him. The table immediately erupted in protests. Boo, Mark. Let them have some fun, a teammate shouted. Finn leaned closer, his voice laced with teasing amusement. Come on, Mark. Don't be such a buzzkill. It's Joel's dare, right? I shrugged, thoroughly enjoying the sight of Mark's clenched jaw. I'm fine with it. Mark's grip on my wrist tightened for a second, then released. Fine, he bit out. But I'm watching. Clayton laughed. Chill out, dude. It's just a game. He turned to the group, his voice booming. All right, who's betting Joel actually sits on Finn? Several hands shot up, and I rolled my eyes as I stood. Finn dropped to the floor, getting into a push-up position and patting his back. Hop on, bro. I hesitated, my gaze flicking to Mark. His face was a thunderous storm, his eyes locked on me as if I were committing the ultimate act of betrayal. I almost backed out, but Finn's playful, encouraging grin pulled me forward. I straddled his back, trying to keep my weight light, and counted out loud as he powered through 10 perfect push-ups. The team whooped and cheered, but Mark's silence was deafening. When I stood up, Finn grabbed my hand, pulling me back down to the booth beside him. Not bad, Joel. We make a pretty good team. That was the final straw. Mark slammed his beer bottle down on the table, standing up so abruptly his chair screeched against the floor. We're done here. He grabbed my arm, his grip unyielding, and started pulling me towards a small side room used for storage. Finn started to follow, but one look from Mark stopped him cold. Stay. Inside the small, cluttered room, Mark shut the door, his breathing heavy and ragged. What is with you and that guy? He demanded, stepping so close I could feel the heat radiating off his body. I crossed my arms, leaning back against a stack of boxes. Finn's fun. Why does it bother you so much? He's a model, Mark spat, as if the word itself were a curse. You know what those guys are like. They're players. You're going to get hurt. I raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. He seems nice to me, Mark. He's young, hot, got abs for days. What's not to like? Mark's eyes darkened, and he crowded me further against the wall. Abs, huh? Is that your type now? I tilted my chin up, defiant. Maybe. At least he's not afraid to show he's into me, unlike some people. He flinched, then, in a move that completely stunned me, he grabbed the hem of his t-shirt and yanked it up. His abs gleamed under the dim light of the single bulb, perfectly carved and incredibly distracting. I've got abs, he said, his voice low and intense. Better ones. He took my hand, his fingers forcefully intertwining with mine, and pressed it flat against his stomach. Feel that. My fingers grazed over the warm, hard skin, and my breath hitched in my throat. His muscles tensed under my touch, a silent response to my presence. His eyes were locked on mine, intense and completely unreadable. I swallowed hard, pulling my hand back as if I'd been burned. Nice, Mark. Real impressive. Too bad you're my straight best friend. His face fell, the aggressive confidence vanishing in an instant, but he didn't let go of my wrist. Why do you keep saying that? No to euros, I'm just looking out for you. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Looking out for me? Or just jealous? He froze, his grip finally loosening. Before he could formulate a response, I pushed past him and opened the door. Finn's waiting. We're going to grab some real food. Mark grabbed my shoulder, spinning me back to face him. Joel, don't. That guy is bad news. I shook his hand off. You don't get to decide who I hang out with. You're not my boyfriend. His eyes widened, a flicker of genuine pain flashing through them. I'm not trying to be. Damn it, Joel, why are you doing this? Because I am tired of pretending. I snapped, the words I'd held back for so long finally spilling out. You want me close, but only on your terms, in your little box where it's safe for you. I'm done playing your game. I walked out of the room, leaving him standing there in stunned silence. Finn was waiting by the bar, his easy smile a welcome sight. Ready to ditch this place? I nodded, trying to ignore the heavy weight of Mark's stare on my back. Let's go. We stepped out into the cool night air, Finn chatting about some campus party he was going to later. I barely listened, my mind stuck on a loop, replaying the look on Mark's face, the way his voice had cracked. I had wanted to shake him up, to make him feel something, anything. But now my own chest ached with a confusing mix of victory and regret. Finn's hand brushed against mine, a tentative touch, and I didn't pull away, but it felt wrong. Like I was reaching for a pale imitation of something I desperately wanted but couldn't have. Hey, Finn said, nudging me gently. You okay? You look like you left your heart back there in that bar. I forced a smile, just thinking about your roommate. He smirked, but his eyes were kind. He's got it bad for you, you know. I snorted. He's straight. His words, not mine. Finn just laughed, shaking his head as if I'd said the most ridiculous thing in the world. Keep telling yourself that, man. We reached the 24-hour diner and I glanced down at my phone. Mark's name lit up the screen. A single text message. I'm sorry. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Finn's laughter pulled me back to the present, and with a deep breath, I shoved the phone back in my pocket. Mark could wait. For once in my life, I was choosing myself. Kale's text was the first thing I saw when I woke up, a cheeky, "So, how's your model boy?" Umlaut. I ignored it, rolling out of bed with a groan. My Cold War with Mark had stretched into a week, each day heavier and more silent than the last. I would return his daily breakfast deliveries with a curt, "Thanks," but no, I ignored every babe nickname he let slip, and I had officially and permanently banned him from my bed. He had transformed from my clingy shadow into a walking storm cloud, his eyes tracking my every move with a mournful look of a lost puppy. I stepped into the bathroom to brush my teeth, and suddenly he was there, blocking the doorway, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His hair was a mess, his eyes were red-rimmed, and his hand shot out to clutch the sleeve of my t-shirt. "Joel," he said, his voice raw and desperate. "Why are you shutting me out?" I spit toothpaste into the sink, rinsing my mouth before turning to face him. "I'm treating you like a friend, Mark. Isn't that what you wanted?" His grip tightened, his voice cracking. "No, I don't want that." I turned fully, pinning him with a hard look. "Then what do you want, Mark? Because I am so done guessing." He stepped closer, towering over me, his breath coming in uneven bursts. I screwed up. Okay, I'm so sorry. I just euros I don't want you to hate me. I poked a single finger against his chest, holding him back. I don't hate you. I'm just giving you space, like a normal friend would. His eyes glistened with unshed tears, and he grabbed my hand, pressing it flat against his furiously beating heart. I don't want normal. I want you. I like you, Joel, and not as a bro. My own pulse stuttered, but I kept my face a carefully constructed mask of indifference. You're straight. You've said it 100 times. I was wrong, he blurted out, his voice laced with desperation. I was stupid. I've liked you for ages, Joel. I just euros I didn't get it. I pulled my hand free, taking a step back. You don't get to just flip a switch because you're jealous of Finn. You called guys like me gross, remember? He flinched, rubbing the back of his neck in a nervous gesture. I didn't mean you. I was freaked out, okay? I didn't know what I was feeling. I crossed my arms, unconvinced. So what? Now you're suddenly not straight. He swallowed hard, his eyes locked on mine. If it's you are euros, then I don't care what I am. The air in the small bathroom grew still, his words hanging between us, heavy with meaning. A part of me, the part that had been starving for years, wanted to believe him. But the memory of his public, sharp-edged declaration of straightness still stung. Prove it, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Words are cheap, Mark. He didn't hesitate. He closed the small distance between us, his large hands coming up to gently cup my face, and he pressed a soft, tentative kiss to my forehead. Give me a chance, Joel, please. I froze, his warmth seeping into my skin, my carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. But I pushed him back gently. You don't get to just kiss your way out of this. I need more than that. He nodded, his eyes filled with a new, earnest determination. I'll show you, whatever it takes. By noon, Mark was everywhere. He showed up outside my political science class with a coffee, grinning like a fool. No strings attached, he said, handing me the cup. Just thought you'd like it. I took it, skeptical. This is your big move. He winked. Baby steps, Joel. Later, he cornered me in the cafeteria, holding a tray piled high with all of my favorite foods. Eat with me, he said, and it wasn't a question. Other students were whispering, their eyes darting between us. I spotted a group of girls giggling and snapping photos with their phones. Mark ignored them completely, his focus entirely on me. You're causing a scene, I muttered, grabbing a French fry from his tray. Good, he said, leaning closer across the table. Let them talk. I want everyone to know that I'm into you. I nearly choked on the fry. Since when are you this bold? Since I realized I'm the world's biggest idiot, he said, his grin never faltering. I'm done pretending. That evening, Grant shoved his phone in my face. You need to explain this, Joel. A group chat named Mark's Quest for Joel stared back at me, filled with posts from Mark. Joel's smile today was a killer. He actually took the coffee I brought him. Progress. The replies were a dizzying mix of heart emojis and teasing jabs from half the campus. I groaned, glaring at Mark, who was lounging on his bed across the room. You're embarrassing me. He sauntered over, completely unrepentant. They're rooting for us. Look, it has 200 members and counting. I snatched his phone, scrolling through the feed in horror. You posted about me brushing my teeth this morning. It was cute, he protested, dodging the swat I aimed at his arm. You had a little toothpaste on your chin. Grant cackled from his corner. You two are disgusting. Just date already and put us all out of our misery." I shot him a look, but Mark's grin only widened. "Working on it, Grant." The next day, I found a bouquet of roses outside my door, a small card tucked between the stems. "For Joel, my favorite person." "Mark." I rolled my eyes, but a traitorous warmth spread through my chest. He was trying, in his own over-the-top, obnoxious way. At the library, Clayton caught me while I was studying. "Your boy's gone full rom-com," he said, smirking. "He actually asked me for advice on how to win you over." I told him to just chill out, but the dude is hopeless. I sighed, closing my book. "He's ridiculous. Ridiculously into you," Clayton corrected, winking before he walked away. That night, Mark cornered me in our dorm room, his usual playful expression replaced by one of complete seriousness. "Joel, I need to say something important." I leaned against my desk, wary. "Go on." He took a deep breath, stepping close. I was scared before. Scared of what I was feeling, of what other people would think. But I'm not anymore. I like you, not as a friend, but as Euros as everything. I studied his face and memories flooded back. Freshman year, him saving me a seat in the library during a snowstorm. Sophomore year, him staying up all night with me when I had the flu, patiently wiping my forehead with a cool, damp cloth. He had always been there, closer than anyone, even if he didn't understand why. "Do you remember sophomore year?" I asked, my voice soft. "Someone at a party asked if I was your boyfriend. You laughed it off. You said we were just brothers." His face fell, shame and regret clear in his eyes. I was an ass. I didn't get it then. And now, I pressed, my heart racing, daring to hope. "Now," he said, his voice steady and sure, "I know I was already falling for you back then. I was just too stupid to see it." And with that, the last of my defenses crumbled. He finally understood. We finally had a chance. So what do you think of Mark's grand, public gestures? Were they incredibly romantic, or just a little too much? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story and want to follow Joel and Mark's journey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this.